2 to go. We're moving on to programmatic. So in a world where we're seeking to deliver more personalized, more relevant content, we obviously need to be able to facilitate the exchange of user-level information across the programmatic ecosystem. And a company solving that is ID5. And to explain more, please welcome Mathieu.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Mathieu Roche. I'm the co-founder and CEO of ID5. ID5 is an identity provider for digital advertising. So we're going to talk about user identification. The promise of digital advertising is to enable brands to communicate with consumers on a one-on-one basis, is to move away from the mass media model that we had in the 20th century into a one-to-one targeted personal relationship with consumers. This promise relies on our ability to technically identify or individually identify users. User identification is at the core of programmatic digital advertising, and it's not working really well today. There's plenty of challenges, technical challenges, to understand who the consumers are because we're limited to the device they're using, because we need to bridge their online behavior and their offline behavior, because the technology we're using use cookies that are domain-specific, so it's impossible to connect information across those domains. Because we haven't included consumers in that discussion. We haven't even started to address, and that's created problems from a privacy standpoint. And because we're limited in our ability to identify users by browsers and operating system manufacturers, we're creating barriers and let's say, complicated our tasks. The truth is, there's only 3 companies that have solved those challenges. They are Amazon, Google, and Facebook. They are the only one who can identify consumers at scale. And that's the number one reason why they dominate digital advertising today, and they own 70% of the market. For everyone else, hopefully there's ID5. We're building ID5 to help the rest of the industry to solve that identity challenge, and we're starting by one of the problems, which is the cross-domain reconciliation problem. How do we move away from having different languages, different numbers, different ways to identify users, and having one single language? That's the language that ID5 is building. It's a universal identity platform that all technology solutions can use to identify users and share information with each other at scale. Our core clients are data providers, sell-side platform, data management platforms, all the technology that you are using as brands to execute campaigns and to run programmatic campaigns to reach your target audience. But you are the real beneficiaries. You are the real targets of what we're doing. In the end, publishers, agencies, brands benefit from having a better working ecosystem, less wastage in the ecosystem. We've proven that this solution is creating value. With our solution, audiences are available at scale. DMPs, brands are able to leverage audiences up to 40% more than they were able to before, 50% more, sorry, than they were able to before. They're able to buy inventory better because they know who their audience are, where they are. And publishers are able to monetize their assets better, their audiences and their inventory, because they are more visible to the brands who want to reach them. So we've engaged in this journey about 18 months ago. Today we work with over 45 platforms, 45 ad tech platforms, some of those brands that you can see on the screens. We're reaching 2.5 billion devices per month globally. And we've been able to do that after raising €1 million in funding and putting together a team of 10 people. So we are on a journey. We're not there yet. We have lots of ambitions for the next 12 to 18 months, including building our footprint in the US. We want to be able to provide a global platform to our clients, so being strong in the US and in APAC is really important. Increase the adoption of our service. There's a very strong network effect to what we do. The more people speak our language, the more people will speak it. So the adoption is key. Integrating with technology like pre-bid, which is used by over 70% of top 1,000 publishers, is key as well. And start to address other problems around the use of cookie and the fact that browsers are blocking third-party cookies more and more. Integration with cross-device providers, working with login alliances, engaging with consumers. All of those challenges we are going to start to address in the future. We're not the only one to address those challenges, but we believe we're unique because we are totally focused on this challenge. There's no conflict of interest working with ID5 for anyone in the industry. We don't sell data, we don't buy media, we don't sell media, we don't do anything apart from providing a neutral identification infrastructure for the industry, and that differentiates from some of our competitors who have a lot of vested interest in making this happen. We also have the resources. Some of the people trying to address this challenge are looking at it from a non-profit or from a cooperation, a consortium angle. It makes it very difficult to execute because you need to buy servers, you need to pay for bandwidth, you need to run the infrastructure, you need to go to market, you need to be here talking to you, and that takes resources. And we have those resources, we have the team behind it to be able to address that challenge. We already have a very large footprint. The value that we have is directly correlated to our footprint, and that's a very important asset for us. And we're providing immediate value. In the end, it's an ROI game. If you're using ID5, you're making more money, and that's why we believe that we're on the right track. So that's about as much as I can tell you in 6 minutes. I'll sum it up by saying that if you believe that digital advertising shouldn't be owned by 3 companies, that premium publishers, that independent advertising technology companies have a future, vote for ID5. Thank you.
All right, who wants to kick off with questions? Yeah.
Mathieu, could you go into a little bit more detail about how you gain permission and how you see those devices and how you stay persistent?
Okay, it's going to be a lot of details. So permission is, so we're under the GDPR, we're what is called a data processor. We operate on behalf of our clients who gain permission. We have built the ability to manage the permission that are given to us, the consent signals that are given to us by our clients, and we're operating on their behalf. So we're leveraging their relationship with consumers to make that connection happen. The second point was around, no, persistent was the last one. Second was
how do you get to scale?
Scale, yes, adoption. We're working directly with publishers, and those 40 platforms that we're working with give us the scale. It's a very big chicken and egg issue that we have to solve, and you know, being 18 months in, we've started to. We have the beginning of an egg or the beginning of a chicken. I don't know which one you were supposed to start with, but it's accelerating, and that's how we get adoption, is by proving the value that we generate, and by leveraging those relationships that we have today to get more relationship with more partners and publishers and platforms. And the last one, persistence. Persistence is the key issue. It's not something we can address today because the method that we have to identify users. We don't decide that the industry works like this. We have to work with the existing constraints, which are that we're using cookies to store identity, to store identifiers, and that is full of flaws. But until we become part of that discussion, we can't change it. So our challenge is to become part of that discussion and then to move away from those imperfect storage mechanisms. Some of the challenges I was addressing earlier, right? How do we go from third-party to first-party cookie? How do we go away from cookie altogether, right? How do we connect to login alliances and have email addresses and have long-standing relationship with publishers? That's how with consumers. That's how we're going to be more persistent, and that's how the identifier that we built is going to be more efficient.
Last question: pricing model.
We sell a license to the technology platform we use. It's very transparent, based on volume of identifiers that we provide.
All right.